Well, before we get down to business, let me introduce myself. My name is Anton. I'm an experienced teacher and IELTS trainer. I've got 17 years of teaching experience across international platforms, and I also specialize in high impact English language instruction for students and educators worldwide. My background includes teaching at international house schools, also leading online education programs for global learners and serving as academic director at Key Studies, where I oversee curriculum development and teacher training and prepare students around the globe for IELTS test with proven strategies and 7+ results. And currently, I'm balancing active teaching with academic leadership at Key Studies, where we implement innovative language education solutions. The outline of our webinar today is going to be quite simple. We will start with the test format and then move on to each section of the test, where I will share some tips and strategies which can be helpful for test taking. Look, here you can see the IELTS test format diagram. The shortest section is speaking. The longest are writing and reading for both modules, which are general and academic modules. In total, it will take you about 2 hours, 45 minutes to complete the test. So, listening test. What is it all about? It's 30 minutes with extra 10 minutes if you do paper-based test to transfer your answers. There are 4 sections with 40 sections overall and a number of task types like the ones you can see here in the presentation. Multiple choice, map labeling, form completion, sentence completion, and some others. This is one of the examples of part 1 listening task. It's table completion. I believe you're going to see them a lot in your preparation and actual tests. Very popular task for listening. So how are these sections of the listening test different? The contexts, the number of speakers, and the skills aimed vary a lot. On top of that, normally each subsequent section is a little bit more difficult than the previous one, which means probably section 4 is going to be more challenging than section 1. In general, these 3 skills are tested and recordings are never repeated. This makes the test quite difficult as you have only one chance to hear the information. So what are the key tips here? Of course, first of all, you need to understand the format and also understand how the test works. You will have to improve your prediction skills as well. For example, you need to read questions before listening, and also it's a very good idea to underline keywords. Try to predict the type of answer. It could be name, number, date, and so on. And also anticipate some synonyms. For example, fee, and the synonym is cost. Focus on keywords and not every word. Actually, it's a very important skill. Listen for names, numbers, dates, and the stressed words. Speakers often emphasize answers. Also, watch for distractors. For example, speakers can change their mind, like I thought 10, but actually it's 12. So the correct answer is going to be 12, of course. Spelling and grammar matter. Incorrect spelling means wrong answer. While scripting your answers, also remember to check the singular and plural forms. For example, if you write 3 book, this is going to be an incorrect answer. That should be 3 books, of course. And don't forget to capitalize proper nouns like London, which should start with capital L. Practice active listening daily. Listen to British and Australian accents, which are very common in IELTS test, and use IELTS practice tests like Cambridge books, official IELTS materials, and others. Watch English news online, like BBC, CNN, podcasts, TED Talks without any subtitles. When you transfer your answers, do it carefully. If you remember, if you make any spelling mistakes, it means that your answer is incorrect. And also don't leave blanks. If you are not sure of the answer, just make an educational guess. There is no penalty for wrong answers here. And finally, stay calm and follow instructions. For example, if your task asks you to write no more than 2 words, you must write no more than 2 words. If you write 3, that's going to be incorrect. And if you get stuck on one question, try not doing that. Just move on and don't lose focus. That's more important rather than if you focus on only one question. So reading test, let's move on to it. Reading test goes right after the listening. It's a little bit, not a little bit, it's longer. It's 60 minutes. There are 3 sections with 3 texts and about 13, 14 questions each. Question types include multiple choice, true, false, not given, and others. IELTS texts are usually quite complicated. They can come from different academic fields and sources like newspapers, journals, books, and sometimes they may contain some visual information like graphs and other things. You can make use of them too. Usually for words blocking understanding, there is a glossary with definitions. Pay attention if there is one in your test, and actually it can help you a lot. You will have only 60 minutes to complete the test with no extra time, and each question equals to 1 point. Here you can see some reading text samples for general and academic modules of the test. On your left, you can see academic reading passage. On your right, you can see general training. By the way, if you know how these modules are different, please text me. To do the reading test successfully and fit into time limit, you will have to learn some reading skills and sub-skills like skimming, scanning, reading to infer, which helps to understand ideas written between the lines, and some others. Of course, understanding the structure of the test is crucial. Please remember that for academic IELTS, you're going to have 3 long texts, which can be descriptive, analytical, or academic. For general training, you might have from 4 to 6 shorter texts, which can be ads, notices, workplace documents, magazine articles, and many others. To do the reading test successfully, you need to master skimming and scanning skills. Skimming happens when you read quickly, just for main ideas. And scanning happens when you look for some specific keywords, names, numbers, dates, and so on. Please remember not to read every word. It's better to focus on topic sentences, which usually come at the beginning of the paragraph or last lines of paragraphs. Try to predict and highlight keywords. Underline keywords in questions. Once again, like names, dates, places. Think of some synonyms. For example, the synonym to word benefit is advantage. Predict answers before searching the text. It will not help you to find the exact, if you try to predict the answers, that will not help you to write the correct answer, but it will help you to locate the information faster. Watch for paraphrasing. IELTS loves rewarding. The text won't match the question exactly, so everything is going to be paraphrased. Manage your time wisely. Spend about 20 minutes per passage. Don't get stuck on the question. Do easier questions first. For example, the concept of true, false, not given is quite hard, so you can leave it for later. Guess if you stuck. Once again, there is no penalty for wrong answers. Speaking about true, false, not given, you actually need to understand the difference very well. Look, true means that information matches exactly. False means that information contradicts the text, and not given information is not mentioned. This one is the trickiest, and here you can't assume, so no assumptions. Check spelling and word limits. You've got to copy words exactly from the text because if you remember, spelling errors mean wrong answer. And follow word limits. Actually, it's basic, but many IELTS candidates forget about that. If you have the task write no more than 3 words, guess no 4 words, for example, or 5 words. And finally, practice with real tests. Use Cambridge IELTS books. They are the most realistic. And while doing the test, try to simulate test conditions. The conditions are 60 minutes only and no distractions. Now we came to one of the most challenging parts, writing. So what do you need to know about it? There are 2 tasks, and you will have to complete them in 60 minutes, 150 and 250 words respectively. In task 1, you may have to describe a graph, a chart, or a map, while in task 2, you have to produce an essay, usually opinion essay. The suggested time allocation is 20 and 40 minutes. 20 for task 1, 40 for task 2. General requirements here are formal style, no slang. You should stay on the task because there is a task achievement. So you're going to be assessed based on task achievement as well. You should stay on the task. Don't write about something that you are not asked to, and make sure that your word count is enough. Please remember not to give your opinion in writing task 1. That's very important. Now let's look at some tasks. In your writing task 1, you can get a bar chart to describe a line graph, a pie chart, sometimes table, process diagram, which can happen not very often, but still, map, and sometimes even a combination, which is quite challenging. Assessed skills include lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and structure, of course. Here, you're able to see public version of band descriptors to, yes, here you're able to see public version of band descriptors to assess your writing task 1. You can have a closer look later, as I will send the presentation to everybody at the end of the webinar, and there you'll be able to find everything that you need to get the desired score. So that's why it's so important to study band descriptors. So what are the secret techniques here? The first one, of course, understand the task requirements. It is very important. For academic IELTS, you need to describe visual data, which can be graphs, charts, tables, maps, diagrams, combinations, the ones that we just had a look. No opinions, just facts, trends, and comparisons. And 150 words minimum, but actually it's better idea to aim for 160, 190 words. For general training IELTS, you will have to write a letter. It could be formal, semi-formal, or informal. In the task, you need to cover all the bullet points and the same 150 words minimum. Again, aim for 190, around that. Structure your report. You can use the following structure. You can Start with introduction, of course, with 1, 2 sentences. Overview, 2, 3 sentences, which can also appear at the end of your writing. And it's where you highlight key trends, like the highest, the lowest points, biggest changes, and overall patterns. You need to include 2 body paragraphs with some major feature comparisons. It's very important here to avoid mechanical descriptions. Um, Use trend language for academic writing task 1. For example, increase, rise, climb, surge, which are all synonyms, right? Decrease, decline, drop, plummet, and so on. So these are the words to to impress the examiner. And use comparative forms, comparative structures like twice as high as, significantly lower than, and so on. Use informal phrases in general writing task 1 because they sound very natural, if especially if the task requires you to do so. For example, just wanted to let you know. Sounds good, right? You should also avoid some common mistakes. If you give opinions in academic task 1, mistake. If you miss key trends, again, in academic task 1, and you do not mention the highest values or lowest values, it's a mistake too. If you use incorrect tone, for example, you've got to write informal letter, but you use a formal language, also incorrect. And if you write under 150 words, you automatically lose marks. Practice, practice, practice. While practicing, time yourself. 20 minutes maximum for task 1. Use official IELTS samples. And of course, it's a very good idea to get feedback from your teacher. Here you've got the quick checklist, so you can also use it to check your writing before submitting. So moving on to writing task 2. Here you can see some example tasks where you have to agree or disagree with a statement, discuss both views, write about advantages or disadvantages, and give causes and solutions and some others. If you are interested, you can have a little bit, you can have a look a little bit later when I send you the presentation. Unlike task 1, task 2 is mostly about your opinion. So before you start, you need to make sure you understand the task. And the task is 40 minutes are recommended and minimum 250 words. You need to also structure your essay properly. Here you also can use a four paragraph structure, and it fits most essays. Introduction, 2, 3 sentences, 2, 3 body paragraphs with 5 to 6 sentences each, where you can include topic sentence with the main idea, explanation, where you develop your point, some example, real world evidence, and also don't forget about linking sentence, which can help you, to build a bridge between one paragraph and another. And conclusion, of course, 2, 3 sentences. In conclusion, in most cases, you have to restate your position for opinion essays or summarize some main points without adding any new information. So conclusion is not for new information. You need to use complex sentences and academic vocabulary. For example, significant impact instead of big effect. Don't forget about linking words like furthermore, however, consequently, moreover, and so on. Try to use less common ones. In band descriptors, they are called cohesive devices, but basically the same. Linking words, cohesive devices, all the same. And also avoid some common mistakes like avoid informal language. Instead of saying Right, it is argued that. Sounds better. Avoid the off-topic ideas. You need to stay focused on the question. If you remember, there is task achievement criterion. If you don't have paragraphing, the proper paragraphing, where all your ideas are separated, you lose coherence marks. And if you write under 250 words, there is automatic band penalty. You need to manage your time. My recommendation, you can spend about 5 minutes on planning, when you can brainstorm your ideas and structure. Spend about 30 minutes on writing itself and stick to the plan that you brainstormed. And proof checking, 5 minutes as well, where you can fix grammar and spelling errors. So what do you need to do if you want a higher score? You need to balance your argument. Even if you're writing an opinion essay, you need to balance your arguments. Use some specific examples, not vague statements. The more specific, the better. And varies the sentence structure. A combination of simple and complex structures is the best. And also practice with recent topics like climate change, technology, education, all-time popular. And use this final checklist before submission. Finally, speaking. There are 3 sections which are recorded and usually conducted face-to-face. 14 minutes maximum, the shortest section. In part 1, examiners confirm your identity and ask you some familiar questions about your job, hobbies, things like that. It usually lasts 4 or 5 minutes. Below you can see some example questions. In part 2, actually part 2 is a long turn where you are given a card with a task and you have 1 minute for preparation and up to 2 minutes for non-stop speaking. Examiners may also ask you some follow-up questions here. And here you can see an example card about books and reading. And finally, the third part, it's a two-way discussion, which is thematically connected to the second part and usually aimed at giving opinions and reflecting on imaginary and abstract situations. If you remember in previous slides, the task was to speak about books and reading, so the questions are connected. See, do people read more nowadays? So always thematically connected. Here you can see band descriptors to evaluate your speaking. Criteria included are fluency and coherence, lexical resource, which is basically vocabulary, grammatical range and accuracy, how many structures you know and can use and how correctly you can use them, and pronunciation, of course. As far as you stay understandable to the examiner in terms of pronunciation, you're fine. Band descriptors should be studied to understand what is expected from you as an IELTS candidate. And in our course, we also do it, and also we learn ceilings, which can prevent you from getting a high score. Ceilings are conditions in band descriptors that you have to fulfill to get a specific score. Now, key tips for speaking. I believe I included it everywhere, but it's actually very important. Remember the test format. We just discussed it. Now, some key tips for each part. In part 1, you might want to keep it natural but structured. You can use the following structure: answer, reason, example, which is also called the R method. For example, yes, I love hiking, which is an answer because it helps me relax. Reason, for example, last month I climbed Mount Everest. Example. So this is a good answer. Also, always avoid one-word answers. Uncommunicative answers are the worst. In part two, you can use the prep method, which is point, reason, example, point. Have a look here. And in part three, think academic discussion. Balance your opinions, use linking words or cohesive devices, if you will, and never try to memorize your answers. Actually, first, it's difficult to predict what kind of topic you're going to get in your test, and also examiners usually spot this. So it's a very bad idea. Um, Fluency and pronunciation. So speak at a natural pace, not too fast, not too slow. Try to stress keywords. For example, the most important factor is use contractions, shortened versions of some collocations. For example, I'm instead of I am for a natural flow. Uh, Also try to use vocabulary for higher bands. Vocabulary for higher bands means like idiomatic expressions. For example, it was once in a lifetime experience. By the way, text me if you know some interesting idioms. Also use phrasal verbs like I take after my father and try to use synonyms. For example, instead of happy, you can say delighted, thrilled, and some others. So what are the common mistakes here? Silent pauses. That's your enemy. Use fillers. For example, let me think, and this way you allow yourself some time to think. Um, Overly complex words also not good, especially if you are not sure of meaning of these words. If you go off topic, that's also bad. You need to stick to the question. My recommendation also is to watch mock test samples on YouTube for desired score. There are a number of them on the internet. And practice, of course, and make use of this final checklist. So, at Key Studies, we offer an IELTS preparation course, which includes all skill training, vocabulary, and grammar development, exam techniques, and continuous assessment. We hold an engaging course program to meet our students' needs and use only English throughout the course. For those of you who are interested, I will tell you how to prepare for IELTS with us. Just follow us on Instagram and send a direct message or visit our website. So here you got all the links, they're all active. So time for your questions now. You can type your questions in the chat box or use the special form to ask me questions. If you'd like to speak to me, just also let me know. I think I can do that. By the way, if you like, you can ask me questions in any language which is comfortable for you. Actually, if you don't have any questions, you can share your impressions. Tell me, was it useful? Did you like it? Did you know something, interesting? And also coming back to your question, actually it was statement I said. Describing diagrams is a challenging part of writing. Yes, actually, it is quite challenging, but it's very technical. So you practice a lot, and it does get second nature, and it gets easier. Uh, to start your preparation for IELTS tests depends on two things. The first thing, your current level and the desired score that you want. But we usually start preparation course from a pre-intermediate level. I hope I answered. Mhm. Well, anyways, if you are interested in IELTS preparation, just um, send us a message, and you can get a free consultation, which is going to be personalized specifically for you. Mhm. Here, you have the guide to start IELTS preparation with the key studies. Mhm. Have a look. If you like, take a screenshot. Thank you very much, Adia. I really appreciate that. Um, yep. And finally, follow case studies and me on Instagram to get the presentation I've prepared for you today, and also get your present for attending our webinar, which is 570 words to nail the IELTS test. Just send me a message with the word IELTS and get it. Uh, Also, yeah, thank you very much for your attention. Stay tuned for our news and forthcoming webinars about IELTS tests. The next one is probably going to be in 2 weeks. Yeah, thank you very much all. Yeah, goodbye.